Hi, welcome to another episode of American Sailing, Sailor of the Month. I'm Christy, your host, and I love sharing stories from sailors around the world who have something for all of us to learn as sailors. Today we're speaking with Elizabeth Henderson, who hails from San Francisco, California, and often sails out of Sacramento, California as well. She's been sailing for 15 months, and she already has so many stories. She's been certified from 101 to 108, has taken some open ocean and celestial navigation, and has some amazing stories and just inspirations for not only women sailors but all sailors alike. Excited for you to hear her story today, and thanks so much for tuning in. All right, Elizabeth, it's nice to be here with you. Elizabeth is our October Sailor of the Month. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. It's a thrill. I am just so excited to talk with you.
Yeah, we love your story. And Elizabeth hails from San Francisco, and has an awesome story. If you want to start just by telling us kind of a little bit about where you love to sail, where your home port is, and what got you into sailing.
Yeah, well, I'm actually in Sacramento and I make the 2-hour drive over to San Francisco. So my home port is currently Emery Cove, but I learned to sail out of modern sailing in Sausalito. So
Awesome.
it's, yeah,
Very
anywhere in
cool.
the Bay Area.
Yeah. So what inspired you to reach out to them and take a lesson?
Oh my gosh, it started oddly enough with a birthday present for my husband. After COVID lockdown and stuff, it presented the opportunity to go sailing. I thought this will be fun and adventurous. During lockdown, I, like many others, got a little bit of sailing YouTube,
Yeah.
and that was kind of the inspiration to book that first 101 lesson. We took it up in Seattle at the Puget Sound.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
the Puget Sound Sailing Institute got us started, and it was just an immediate like thrill that when the boat powers up and you've got that first like whoosh of the sails and the water lapping. It was in July, and July in Seattle is two doors down from heaven. It is gorgeous. So we took the advice of our 101 instructor. We happened to be taking the class with some people who had started, and then a couple months became a year, and they were actually back for a refresher course.
Okay.
And so thinking about that, and on advice from our instructor, he said, keep the momentum going.
Mhm.
Keep the practice, keep on the water, and be consistent. So as soon as we got back from Seattle, we did a little research and immediately signed up with Modern Sailing because I was looking for a school with a great reputation, which they had. And I personally wanted a school that had some female instructors, and they had some of the most female captains. They had the most female captains that I could find in the local area at that school. And that was really important to me.
That's so
Um,
inspiring.
yeah, it really was inspiring, just to read their bios and to
Mhm.
think that maybe one day I could do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were fantastic. We rolled right into ASA 103, and the rest is history. We've been just taking one course after another, kind of at a breakneck speed over the last year and a half.
Very cool. So what all certifications do you currently hold?
I'm through 108, and that
Wow.
includes the catamaran 114 as well as the docking endorsement 118. So yeah, that's
Very cool.
That's all of
So
them. We
yeah, you've
finished.
you've done celestial nav then, and like
Indeed.
an open ocean. Yeah, very cool. What did you
Yes.
think of celestial?
It was challenging. It was the most challenging for me personally of the courses. The theory is fascinating to me. I'm a science teacher, and so I love that content, but the math, I won't even say the math. I think it's just the many different calculations and going to like 8 different tables to look up stuff. It was very challenging. There's a lot to it, but it's also really rewarding when you can,
Yeah.
learn how to find yourself more or less in the middle of an ocean with just a couple of sun sights or the stars.
Yeah, I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I know you mentioned that you have had the opportunity to do some open ocean. So did you get to employ sort of your celestial nav knowledge with that?
A little bit. We sailed in the clouds for several days.
Oh,
So we
okay.
just finished The 108 trip went from San Francisco down to Marina del Rey. So we went
Okay.
from San Francisco up through like almost Point Conception. It was just fog.
Oh,
And that was a whole nother experience, was being
yeah.
so disoriented that everywhere you look, up, down, left, right, you were just surrounded by the same grayness, or black at night. It was a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother like experience. But yeah, when the sun came out, even just peeking through the fog, we were able to get some sights. I got pretty proficient with the sextant and like getting it calibrated and
Yeah.
dialed in. But I will say one of the biggest challenges when you're on that moving boat and you have all of the other things you need to attend to find the time and the ability to sit down and plot. That's a
Mm-hmm.
whole other challenge. I thought to myself, I was like, this was hard enough at my kitchen table. When you're actually in it on the boat, that's another challenge in and of itself. But it's
Yeah.
something I need to continue learning, and keep practicing, because I think it's like anything else. If you don't use it, you'll lose it.
Yeah. I can
I work
imagine.
too hard. I need to keep practicing it, to get faster and more proficient.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great mindset. So just kind of rewinding a little bit, then I had to ask you about that because I'm super curious. That's because that's kind of about where I'm at in my journey right now. So
Yeah.
um talk to me a little bit about your childhood. I know you guys had sort of a boat that sat around, and where did you get your inspiration to kind of start going?
It was so sad. This boat, it was just kind of sitting in the trailer on the backyard, like just
Mm-hmm.
nobody would like take it out or do anything with it. And I would ask about it as a kid, but it was clearly a point of contention. My mom's not a fan of the sailboat. So it just sat there on the trailer. And I always thought, gosh, that's a shame. That'd be pretty cool. We actually grew up pretty inland. So I didn't have the ocean or a lake or any water, honestly, that
Yeah.
was around or available. I'm always super jealous when I see those like little kids out there in their lasers or their sunfish, and what a great opportunity they have to learn from such a young age. And it wasn't until middle age that I finally, got that chance to get out there and try it for myself.
That's the same for me. I recently learned as well, and I would consider myself middle-aged, and we're
Mhm.
making sure that our son has the opportunity to hop in an opti the second he's old enough so that he can start getting that experience. There's just so much value from the sailing lifestyle, like just to teach independence and confidence and strength. So
Totally.
yeah.
I work with the kids. So I volunteer at the Sailing Science Center in San
Oh,
Francisco.
cool.
And we take this mobile exhibit that teaches science through the lens of sailing. And I watch these kids like come to our exhibits, and they have such an intuitive understanding of the physics and the mechanics because they live it and they experience it firsthand, and they have no fear. They
Mm.
will, get that appreciation not only for the sailing, but they learn so much discipline and like science, and just have that thirst for more knowledge. I love
Mhm.
it. They're
Yeah.
doing it right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that can, if you can, if it's in your life and you have the benefit to access it, it's definitely something that is worth it for so many people. So you talked a little bit about a women's sailing seminar that was kind of one of your favorite experiences. You want to share a little bit more about that?
I'd love to. Yeah, this women's sailing seminar was such a special like turning point in my own sailing, and I don't think I would be where I am at this point if I hadn't attended a year ago. So I came through ASA 103, and I was personally having like a crisis of confidence after that course, particularly around talking.
Yeah.
Um, and up until that point, I've been the only woman on a boat, like
Mm.
no matter what, whether it was like just sailing with like club sails or classes. And all of a sudden, I discovered this community that
Mm.
was so supportive and provided this safe place to not only like ask questions and get answers without any sort of shame or like hesitation. I just felt so supported. And again, looking to those role models that were our instructors, but also guest speakers, it was just like, wow, I had never until that point seen or even understood what a wonderful community there was, as like right there in my backyard. They're all local. They discovered women that were even from Sacramento, and we became like sailor besties, and we commute
Nice.
over to San Francisco now and go sailing together to this day. Fast forward a year, I just wanted to give back so much. I started volunteering with the Women's Sailing Seminar, which is now in its 31st year. And
Wow.
that felt really good because all of a sudden now I can give back.
Yeah.
And although I'm very much like new to the sailing like game, I felt like I could, offer others that safe space to ask questions and to be supported and encouraged and uplifted.
Yeah.
And I think that in of itself is just a really wonderful thing we can give back. So more
You
people say
were,
it's always more
you're,
better.
yeah. So you're saying it in a very humble way, but you were actually an instructor, right?
Yeah.
To help
I
teach
came back as an
them.
instructor so I
Yeah.
could give back what they gave to me. Like,
That's so huge. Like, I love that you have been dedicated enough that in that short of a period of time to be able to come back and actually teach. And you're so right. There's so much value and strength in having people aboard who are encouraging and will help catch you if you miss a step and
mhm,
just help you learn. That's such an important ingredient to, finding your sea legs and becoming confident enough as a sailor. So that's wonderful.
absolutely. It gave me the confidence to go on. And then as soon as I had the opportunity, it was 104 for me. And then
Yeah.
I never, at that point, I don't think I envisioned being where I am today. Like I didn't set out going, I'm going to finish all of them. But yeah, things escalated quickly when you have a team
Yeah.
like cheering you on, and it's so fun, and you have that community and support. You can go far. It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
It was such an unsuspecting thing for me too. It was something I stumbled into, and then the more I was aboard with the right people, the more I was like, I have to do this. You just feel so much kind of coming to life for yourself, and I can completely relate to your story. So you and your husband have some adventures together. So you
Yeah.
talked a little bit about a boat club that you're part of, and or I guess like a timeshare kind of thing. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. The people you meet through sailing is amazing. And it actually started because we had been chartering and taking the boats out through the school very regularly because it was so important to us to get that time on the water. And almost every weekend is dedicated to like getting out there. And it was becoming unsustainable, like financially. We were like not in a position where we could buy a boat, like just
Mhm.
jump in. We know those people who, get the idea, and the next thing you know, they've taken ASA 101 and they're buying a boat. That
Mhm.
wasn't us. We
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that we kind of took it in stride and
Mhm.
invested in the experience and the training before we made that leap. So we ended up going to Sail Time, which is a fractional ownership program,
Mhm.
and having the ASA courses up through, we had 106 at the time, having that in place gave us enough like knowledge and sort of credibility because we don't have a long sailing resume. The ASA courses were enough to say, hey, we've invested in the training.
Mhm.
We're ready for this. Like, we'll take good care of the boat and we won't
Yeah.
get into too much trouble.
Mhm.
Um, and so that really gave us the opportunity to buy a fraction of a boat. And it's fantastic because most people who own boats will tell me that you need twice as much time spent sailing spent working on your boat. And
Yeah.
because we live in the bay, we have that drive and that commute, and being weekend sailors, this is the perfect solution where the boat is
Mhm.
cared for. You've got a professional maintenance team, all of the ancillary expenses of boat ownership and
Mhm.
things people that aren't necessarily the sailing, but the
Yeah.
dockage, the insurance, and all that.
Mhm.
It's taken care of, so
Yeah.
we can focus on sailing and gather more and more experience. It let us go out the gate in San Francisco and go do some coastal cruising.
Nice.
We really like to do longer weekends where we can do some overnight sailing, anchor, get some distance, and start,
Mhm.
gathering those nautical miles. So it
Yeah.
was a fantastic opportunity, and yeah, something we're going to continue with. So we've got a couple trips planned already.
Where
Like,
are you going?
well, let's see. We've been like inland. We've been up to like Drake's Bay. This month, we're going to go out to Half Moon Bay and we'll go down to Monterey, Santa Cruz,
Nice.
and back up. So yeah, it'll be great. It's
Very
giving
cool.
us that freedom and that confidence to, start expanding our reach.
Yeah.
It's like a kid learning to drive. First drive to
Mhm.
the grocery store, and now we're going across town and you know, starting
Very
to build
cool.
those things.
Do you have any long-term aspirations on big sails or crossing any oceans or anything like that?
For sure. I think it wasn't long ago I would have told you that when I was in 101, my big dream that, your instructor asked you, so what's your big goal? And it was cruising down the coast of California.
Mhm.
Now that I've done that, going from San Francisco to LA, I think it's definitely, the next step would be going further south to Mexico, Sea Cortez. Then
Nice.
from there, maybe, cruising around the Caribbean. We booked a charter so that we can start getting experience in sailing the Windward Islands. So I'm looking forward to that
Nice.
in April.
Oh, very
And
cool.
then, yeah, from there, it's a matter of job and,
Yeah.
time off limits.
Yeah.
Maybe if I can work remotely,
Yeah.
work it out with Starlink, a lot of things are possible now. So
Yeah. They really
yeah,
are.
we'll have to see. But that would be the dream, would be to sail as many places and see as much of the world as possible.
So are you guys looking at any point to become liveaboards full time, or is that maybe a little too far, or what do you think?
I don't, I'm totally open to that. I would love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I do have pets that will come along. So one of the beautiful things about sailing is you really do get to bring your household
Mhm.
with you, a smaller household, but with you.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, we love to travel. That's a big part of our life. And being adventurous people, it fits. Like if we could bring the dog, or
Yeah.
the parrot, coming along for the ride, I think that's a logical next step. But
I would have to
first,
say the parrot would be very iconic.
right, it's
Yeah.
it's meant to be. Her name is Ruby, so
Oh,
we'll
there you
see.
go.
She'll yeah, learn to say ahoy, and
Yeah. So
we'll bring
cute.
her along. I don't know if the
Cool.
dog's gonna be that excited, but we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would have to leave it to the dog. I've heard of dogs loving it and some not so much, but I'm sure if it's meant to be, it'll work out. Cool. So are there any other like sailing stories or just magical moments you've had that you want to share?
Oh my gosh. Every time I go out, there's a new one, but I think the most current one is when we were in Drake's Bay. We
Mhm.
had the humpbacks are migrating right now.
Mhm.
And it just so happened, lighter winds, we're cruising not very fast, like maybe around 4 knots. And we're starting to see whale spouts, and they're coming closer,
Mm.
and they're starting to breach. And this pod of whales was like traveling with us, and we're all going like the same
Oh,
speed. So
wow.
this lasted almost the entire trip back from Drake's Bay to San Francisco.
Wow.
And I'll add, it was upwind both ways, which, if that's just not sailing like heaven,
That's
I don't
ideal.
know
That's
what is.
lucky.
We had a southerly on our way back home. So yeah, we went upwind both ways, which was
Oh,
pretty awesome. And then you
amazing.
have whales on top of that
Yeah.
escorting you down the coast. I was like, this is insane. The clouds, the sunsets. It was kind of a partly cloudy thing. So you had that full on
Mm.
magical sun ray,
Mhm.
beaming down. And yeah,
Yeah.
we were like 1 second away from a choir of angels singing. I don't know. It was
Right?
pretty, I was
That
like, this is
sounds so epic.
unreal.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations on that. That's
But
awesome. Life is
yeah,
just so good to you sometimes.
the wildlife is never going to get old to me.
Yeah.
So I think being so close to nature is epic. And every time this sailed down the coast, we had bioluminescent torpedo
Oh,
dolphins.
how
And
beautiful.
for hours, first we had the super pod of dolphins, the white-sided Pacific dolphins were like sailing
Mhm.
with us. And then at night watch, I'm on the helm and I'm seeing like these light flashes in the
Oh,
water. I was like,
amazing.
no way.
Oh,
This is
how beautiful.
amazing. But yeah, things like that, I think, just reinforce how special it is and
Yeah.
how it's such a rare opportunity.
Yeah.
How else would you ever get to live that experience but sailing?
Absolutely. Oh,
It's
that's so
rare, but
beautiful.
I'll share it with whoever will, come along for the ride. So,
Absolutely. Very cool. So I think, with all of the sort of the majesty and the grandeur of what you've seen, underneath that is just so much work to get you there. And you really have, gone through all of the courses, and you talked a little bit about some of the online classes and the stickers that you in the logbook that you go after, which I think, we do that for a reason. We want to motivate people to keep, it's a little bit gamified so that they feel like there's something there to get, but it's also all about just building that foundation, and strengthening sailors. So you want to share a little bit about what courses you like and what
oh
you've gained
yeah,
from that?
I think like you said, it's the foundation. It's a strong starting point. Um, School is great, and I think it's super important, but nothing is a better teacher than experience until
For
you get
sure.
out there and do it and you live it. Um, that said, I think ASA has provided a really strong foundation, and it's given me the preparation, the confidence uh,
Hmm.
to keep, building my experience. I think had I not had that strong preparation, I could have easily gotten overwhelmed and said, "No way am I ever doing this again," and what a loss that would have been. I also want to like acknowledge the people that you meet along the way. Like when you
Hmm.
take these classes and you meet your instructors, their
Hmm.
guidance and their encouragement, but also the amazing people you get to meet that inspire you along the way. Um, that's critical to the success as well. Um, I know there's always like a little bit of like criticism either way. Like you either take all your classes first and then you're book smart, but you don't have a lot of miles under your keel. And then there's the other side where people will just like get a boat and dive right in.
Yeah.
And maybe they've been sailing for decades, but they don't have any formal training.
Yeah.
And then maybe they're not getting as much out of their experience as they could. I think
Hmm.
there's a certain like combination you need where you've got the training and you have the courses, but then you have to be really
Yeah.
disciplined in building that experience and being consistent, and don't let
Mm.
time get away from you. Make sure that you're
Yeah.
getting out there and practicing the skills that you learn.
Yeah.
um, but it's been fantastic. I think my favorite course, I it's hard to pick. Like
Mhm.
coming down the California coast is pretty awesome, for that 108. I
Yeah.
do think the turning point for me though is probably 106.
Yeah.
uh, that's when I was like locked in, and I was like, all right, I can see like this becoming a full-on lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's clearly a healthy obsession.
Yeah.
So I think from there forward, I started to see myself as a sailor,
Hmm.
part of the sailing community as I built more and more relationships and started to take people out on our sail time boat. I started hosting women's night sails. I started
Cool.
hanging out overnight, and at that point, when I was then able to provide a place and a space for other people
Mhm.
to sail together and learn together, that was everything to me. I think that
Yeah.
was where I was like, I could do this for the rest of my life. This will be fantastic.
Yeah, that's really true ownership, and in the truest sense, when you can host something, whether you own the boat fully or not, you're owning the sport and the space that you're taking, and that's beautiful. Uh,
Yeah, it's been awesome. And
uh,
yeah, I can't ever see that changing. I think it's going to just continue to get better, and I'll continue to, have more experience and meet more amazing people along the way. So who knows where it's going to take us? It's hopefully though, it's going to take us far, and we'll
yeah,
start crossing oceans and stuff in the near
absolutely.
future.
I'd love to hear it. If you guys do a transatlantic or a transpac, would definitely check in. We definitely want to hear the rest of that story. So, in the meantime, you mentioned that you take some of the online courses and things like that, and have benefited. What have been some of your favorite ones of those?
Oh, I think hands down, I love Bill Gladstone and
Oh, cool.
Northview, their partnership with ASA and the ability to have those asynchronous sort of online opportunities. I work full time as a teacher, and it's so nice to have the ability to sign up for the class, and then if I can't make it, at a prescribed class time, there's the replay, and then having that archive there. It's been fantastic. The advanced sail trim course was a huge leap forward in understanding, but also applying, my skills on the water. I took what I learned from that. I was taking notes and then immediately, applied it, and it improved not only my sailing, but it just made it so much more enjoyable. When you were getting more out of the boat, and it's fantastic. Would recommend. Also the advanced weather. Oh my gosh, that class, it just reinforced the need for me to learn more. It was kind of a, 30,000-foot view, but I think, knowing weather routing and forecasting and really understanding the models, that's going to be critical as we're planning passages and stuff. So I might plan ahead and say that I'm going to go, to Monterey, but now I have the tools to really look and say, okay, is that going to be an enjoyable passage? Is it going to be safe? I now have the tools to kind of be a more prudent sailor. And again, it's only going to make my trip more enjoyable, so I don't get caught out in some ugly stuff.
Very cool. Well, is there anything else you want to share before we sign off tonight?
That's all. I just want to encourage everyone out there, wherever you are in your journey, if you're just beginning, if you're, starting in midlife, or wherever, if you're lucky enough to start as a kid, this is a fantastic lifelong learning opportunity. I don't think you'll ever stop learning if you're sailing, and that's a beautiful thing. So the sea and the boat will always have something to teach us. So I encourage everyone, and get out there, go sail.
Spoken like a true educator and mariner, Elizabeth. It's so nice to meet you and to hear your story. And we look forward to keeping up with you as you continue on your journey.
Thank you. Likewise. It's so great to meet you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's a wrap. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing your story with us. We're all so inspired by it. If you have a story you'd love to tell, we'd love to hear it. And we'd love to hear it next time. Cheers, everybody.